Everyone at the startup expo laughed when the old pickup truck rolled into the loading area. No polished booth, no giant screen. Just a single dad carrying a metal case and a prototype nobody understood. Then a famous CEO stopped, looked at it for less than 30 seconds, and offered him $500. People smiled politely, some recorded the moment. The father quietly refused. The CEO called it a mistake. 2 weeks later, those same people were standing in line for a meeting and investors were placing numbers no one thought were possible. But what did that prototype actually do, and why did the man refuse money he clearly needed? Adam almost didn't go at 6 in the morning while tightening a loose panel on an industrial compressor at work. He checked his phone again and stared at the confirmation email. The startup showcase badge, entry approved. Arrival window, 8 a.m. He locked his screen and put the phone away. By lunch, he had convinced himself not to attend. The prototype wasn't ready. The outer shell still had visible scratches. One connector had been replaced 3 times. The carrying case didn't even match. Everyone else at those events had branding, polished slides, and people who knew how to speak in rooms full of investors. He had none of that. When his shift ended, he drove home in silence. His rented garage sat behind a narrow row of apartments. Nothing special: faded paint, uneven concrete floor, old fluorescent lights that hummed louder than they should. Inside, covered by a gray cloth, sat the machine. His machine, not sleek. Not beautiful, but complete enough to work. He stood there looking at it. Then he heard footsteps. Lily appeared in the doorway carrying the paper bags. "You forgot dinner." Adam smiled slightly. "Thanks." She stepped inside and immediately noticed his expression. "You're thinking about not going?" He laughed once. "That obvious?" She placed the bags down. "You've been building this for 2 years." He looked away. Building something and showing it are different things. She walked around the covered machine. "You know what I think?" He crossed his arms. "What?" "I think you're okay failing." He looked surprised. "But I don't think you like being seen trying." That landed harder than she intended. He opened one of the bags and sat on an old stool. She sat beside him. For a while neither spoke. Then she said quietly, "When I sent your application." He looked up. "You what?" Her eyes widened. "You didn't know." He stared. "You submitted it." She nodded nervously. "You never would have done it." He blinked. "You wrote the application." She smiled carefully. "I just answered their questions." "What did you tell them?" She thought for a second. "That you spent years fixing expensive problems for people who couldn't afford expensive solutions." He stared at her. "That's not how applications work." She shrugged. "They accepted." He shook his head and laughed under his breath. She leaned forward. "You always say people should test things in real life." He looked at the machine. She pointed at it. "So test it." He sat quietly. Finally he stood. "Okay. Double quotes." Her face lit up. "Okay." He nodded. "Okay for the next 2 hours." The garage changed. Not into something impressive. Just cleaner. They wiped dust, repacked cables, printed one sheet describing the prototype. Adam refused to make exaggerated claims. No revolutionary, no industry changing, just plain language. Lily read it. "It sounds boring." He shrugged. "It's accurate." She rolled her eyes. That evening they loaded everything into the truck. The next morning, before sunrise, they drove. The city changed as they approached the expo center. Glass buildings, large signs, people unloading expensive displays. When they arrived, Adam immediately regretted coming. Rows of polished booths stretched across the hall. Some teams wore matching shirts. Some had professional cameras. Large screens played promotional videos. Nearby, someone was practicing a presentation with dramatic hand gestures. Adam parked in a side-loading area. Lily stepped out. She looked around, then looked at him. "Wow." He nodded. Double quotes. "Yeah." She noticed his expression. "No." He looked at her. She pointed at him. "That face is illegal today." He laughed. "What?" "That's your I should leave face." He closed the truck door. She grabbed the registration envelope. Too late. Inside, staff checked them in. One volunteer looked at their booth assignment, then looked at their equipment. Then pointed. "You're over there." Back corner. No traffic. No screen. One folding table. Adam almost laughed. Perfect. They unloaded, placed the prototype, connected power, tested everything. It worked. Then people started arriving and immediately ignored them. Groups moved past toward flashy displays. Founders spoke confidently. Investors nodded. Adam stood awkwardly behind the table. Lily handed him water. Relax, he whispered. I hate this. She smiled. Good. He looked confused. She shrugged. That means it matters. Hours passed. A few visitors stopped. Most asked broad questions. What exactly does it do? Adam explained simply. Some nodded politely and left. Others looked disappointed because there wasn't an app or giant touch screen. One man asked, so, where's the AI? Adam blinked. It doesn't need AI. The man walked away. Lily tried not to laugh. By midday, Adam had almost given up. Then something changed, not because of interest, because of movement. People nearby suddenly adjusted their posture. Phones appeared. Conversations paused. Someone whispered a name. Heads turned. A CEO had entered, one of those business personalities people recognized immediately. Confident. Surrounded. Well-dressed. Not loud, but everyone noticed. The group moved through exhibits. Founders straightened displays. Presentations became more energetic. Adam looked once and returned to reorganizing cables. Lily noticed. You know who that is? He shook his head. She looked surprised. You seriously don't? He shrugged. No. She smiled. That's probably healthy. The group moved closer, stopping briefly at larger booths, short conversations. Photos. Then unexpectedly the CEO slowed, looked toward their corner, and walked over. Lily stood straighter. Adam remained still. The CEO looked at the prototype. No introduction. No greeting. Just observation. He circled once, looked at the casing, looked at exposed hardware. Then asked, you built this? Adam nodded. Yeah. How long? Adam answered. A while. The CEO smiled slightly. Not rude, just unconvinced. What does it solve? Adam explained. No pitch voice. No dramatic language. Just practical use cases. The CEO listened, asked short technical questions. Adam answered. Then silence. The CEO looked at him. Then at the machine. Then smiled again. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a card, and said casually, you know what? He placed it on the table. I'll save you some time. Adam looked down. Handwritten, $500. The CEO nodded. For the prototype, nearby conversations became quieter. People started watching. Someone lifted a phone. Adam looked at the paper, then looked up. The CEO continued calmly. It's not Marcatretti. He tapped the casing. But maybe there's something useful underneath. More people gathered. Adam said nothing. The CEO smiled. That's more than fair. Lily looked at Adam. Adam looked back at the machine. Then at the offer. And for a moment he thought about rent. Repairs. Bills. Sleep. Everything. $500 wasn't life-changing, but it wasn't nothing. The room stayed quiet. Waiting. Adam picked up the card, looked at it. Then set it back down. And said quietly, no thank you. The CEO looked surprised. Not offended, just surprised. He nodded once, then gave a small smile. Your choice. He turned and walked away. People resumed moving, but not normally. Now they looked at Adam differently. Not impressed. Curious. Confused. Lily slowly looked at him. He stared ahead. She whispered, are you okay? Adam watched the crowd. Then quietly said, I have absolutely no idea. For the next few minutes, Adam stayed exactly where he was, not because he had confidence, because moving would make the moment feel real. People passed the booth slower now. Some looked at the prototype. Most looked at him. A few whispered. One man stopped long enough to say, 500 was still a decent offer, then walked away before Adam could answer. Lily pretended to rearrange papers. She leaned closer. You regret it? Adam kept watching the crowd. I don't know yet. She nodded once. That answer felt honest. The strange part wasn't that the offer had happened. It was how quickly everything returned to normal. Across the hall, presentations continued. Announcements played overhead. People laughed. Someone nearby celebrated funding. Meanwhile, Adam stood beside years of work, wondering if he had just made the most irresponsible decision of his life. More visitors came, but the energy changed. Now conversations started differently. Not with curiosity. With assumptions. One person smiled politely and asked, "So why didn't you take the deal?" Adam answered, "I didn't think it was the right fit." Another asked, "You think it's worth more?" Adam said, "I think it needs testing." That answer confused people. Most expected confidence or ambition. Instead, he sounded uncertain because he was by late afternoon, foot traffic slowed. Lily sat behind the table. She looked tired. Adam handed her water. She asked quietly, "Can I ask something?" He nodded. She said, "If somebody offered $1 million. He smiled. "I probably would have fainted." She laughed. Then became serious. "So, why no?" Adam looked at the prototype because the truth wasn't dramatic. He answered slowly, "I realized something while he was talking." She waited. He looked at the outside. She frowned. Adam continued, "And maybe he's right." She looked confused. He nodded toward the machine. "It might actually not be worth much." Her expression softened, but Adam took a breath. "But I promised myself I'd find out first." They packed up shortly after. No investors. No business cards. No miracle. Just one folded offer card sitting inside the case. The drive home felt longer. Lily eventually fell asleep in the passenger seat. Adam drove quietly. Streetlights passed. His thoughts got louder. 500, 500, 500. By the time they reached home, the number felt larger than before. Inside the apartment, he placed the prototype case in the corner. He sat at the kitchen table, opened a drawer, pulled out unpaid bills. He stared. Then reached for his phone. His finger hovered over the CEO's business card. He could still call. Maybe the offer still existed. His thumb stopped. He put the card back. The next morning he went to work. Routine felt comforting. Machines. Tools. Things that either worked or did. And single quotes. No opinions. No valuation. At lunch, his co-worker Tariq sat beside him. Tariq noticed something immediately. "You look like somebody returned your birthday gift." Adam laughed. "Long story." Tariq nodded. "So don't tell me." Adam smiled, then somehow ended up telling him anyway. Tariq listened quietly. When Adam finished, he expected advice. Instead, Tariq asked, "Did the machine work?" Adam blinked. "What?" "The thing." Adam shrugged. "In testing." Tariq looked confused. "No." He pointed. "Did it solve the problem?" Adam thought. "Yes." Tariq nodded. "Then why are you acting like the event was the test?" Adam didn't answer. Tariq stood. "Machines don't care who likes them," then walked off. That sentence stayed with him. That evening, Adam went straight to the garage. He uncovered the prototype, turned it on, ran diagnostics. Everything looked normal. Then he stopped. He opened a notebook. Across several pages were observations from months of use. Old measurements, small improvements, actual outcomes, things nobody at the showcase had asked about. He stared at the pages. Then suddenly stood. He opened his laptop. Made one post. Simple. No marketing language. No story. Just looking for one small manufacturer willing to test an efficiency prototype at no cost. Real conditions only. He posted it. Closed the laptop. Expected nothing. The next day, nothing. Second day, nothing. Third day, one message. A small local factory owner. Short message. Saw your post. Curious. Adam almost ignored it, but replied. The owner wanted a demonstration. Saturday morning. Adam loaded the truck. Drove alone. The factory wasn't impressive. Older equipment. Limited staff. Everything looked stretched thin. The owner greeted him. Middle age. Practical. No excitement. He pointed inside. If it wastes my day, I'm blaming you. Adam smiled. Fair. They installed the prototype. No speeches. No audience. Just testing. The first hour was awkward. The owner watched silently, workers ignored them, then someone noticed something. Then another. Processes moved smoother. Delays shortened. Adjustments happened faster. By lunch, the owner stopped talking. He started calculating. Adam stayed quiet. 3 hours later, the owner walked over. How long have you had this? Adam answered, working version. He nodded. Months. The owner stared, then asked, who else uses it? Adam hesitated. No one. The owner looked at him for several seconds, then laughed. Not mocking. Genuine disbelief. You took this to a startup event. Adam nodded. The owner shook his head. Wrong audience. Adam smiled politely. Before leaving, the owner asked one more question. Can I call someone? Adam looked confused. Who? The owner smiled. People. Adam drove home unsure what that meant. 3 days later his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Another manufacturer. Small company. Wanted to see the system. Then another. Then another. Not dozens, but enough. Each call started similarly. Someone mentioned someone. No ads. No pitch. Just quiet referrals. Adam became busy. Work. Garage. Demonstrations. Repeat. Then one evening he arrived home and found Lily sitting at the table staring at her phone. She looked up. You're trending. He blinked. What? She turned the screen. Someone had uploaded the showcase clip. The CEO's offer. Adam refusing. Thousands of comments. People arguing. Some called him stubborn. Some called him brave. Some thought it was staged. Adam frowned. Lily looked nervous. You okay? He looked again, then put the phone down. I don't care. She looked surprised. He smiled. I care about the calls. She looked at him. Then smiled. That night they ordered cheap takeout, sat on the floor. For the first time in days they laughed. Then his phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered. Professional voice. Short introduction. Small investment group. They heard about recent field tests. They wanted a meeting. Adam froze. He looked at Lily. She stared back. The voice continued. We're not making an offer. Pause. We want to understand what you built. Adam swallowed. Asked quietly. How did you find me? The answer came immediately. Someone who tested it told us not to wait. Silence, then the voice added, and one suggestion. Adam listened. The person said, don't sign anything yet. The line disconnected. Adam slowly lowered the phone. Lily looked at him. Neither spoke. After several seconds, she finally asked, what does that mean? Adam looked toward the garage window, toward the covered machine, then quietly answered, I think. He stopped, looked uncertain, then said, I think somebody finally looked past the outside. Adam didn't sleep much that night, not because of excitement, because uncertainty had changed shape. Before, uncertainty meant failure. Now it meant possibility. And possibility felt heavier. He woke before sunrise and sat at the kitchen table with coffee that had already gone cold. Lily walked in and immediately noticed, you've got the thinking face. Adam looked up. I have a thinking face. She sat down. You've had it for years. He smiled faintly. She reached for cereal, so he nodded, so she pointed. What happens now? Adam leaned back. I have no idea. She looked unimpressed. That's not inspiring. He laughed quietly. Then became serious. They want a meeting. She nodded. That's good. He looked toward the garage. It means people expect answers. She smiled, then answer honestly. That sounded simple, but he carried it with him. 2 days later, the meeting invitation arrived. Not downtown. Not in some giant glass tower. A smaller office. Private. No cameras. No event. Just discussion. The email included one line, bring your working demonstration if possible. Adam stared at the screen. Working demonstration, not slides, not branding. He liked that. Still, he prepared like someone preparing for an exam he never studied for. He wrote notes, then crossed them out, made diagrams, removed half, practiced explanations, deleted technical language. Every time he tried sounding impressive. The explanation became worse. Eventually, he returned to what he knew: problem, process, result, nothing more. The morning of the meeting, Lily stood beside the truck. She looked unusually serious. Adam noticed. What? She crossed her arms. You're not going in there trying to sound like somebody else. He blinked. What does that mean? She pointed at him. No startup voice. He laughed. She continued. No fake confidence. He smiled. She added. And don't say your thing is stupid. He looked offended. I don't say that. She stared. He thought. Then nodded. Fair. She handed him a folder. Inside were printed notes. He looked confused. She shrugged. You explain things badly when nervous. He flipped through. The pages surprised him. Simple summaries, actual results. Questions people might ask. At the bottom of one page she had written, you don't need to prove you belong in the room. You already got invited. He closed the folder, then nodded. Double quotes. Thanks. She smiled. Go. The office building looked ordinary. No giant logos. Inside. Reception was quiet. No dramatic atmosphere. No luxury. Just people working. Adam checked in. A woman greeted him and led him into a conference room. 5 people. Laptops closed. Coffee cups. No one looked rushed. One stood and shook his hand. Thanks for coming. No titles. No speeches. That helped. They noticed the equipment case. One smiled. You actually brought it. Adam nodded. You asked. The meeting started simply. No presentation. One question. What problem were you trying to solve? Adam paused. Then answered. Not polish. Not rehearse. He explained years repairing equipment, watching smaller operations lose time because existing systems required expensive systems layered over expensive systems. People didn't need more complexity. They needed fewer interruptions. One investor leaned forward. When did you realize there might be something bigger here? Adam answered honestly. I didn't. They looked surprised. He continued. I built it because I was annoyed. A few smiled. Another asked, so you never intended to start a company? He shook his head. No. More notes. Another question. What's the market? Adam looked uncertain. Then answered, I don't know. Someone raised an eyebrow. Adam continued, I know who called me. That got attention. He opened his folder. No projections. Just names removed and outcomes listed. Testing. Results. Time reductions. Operational improvements. Questions changed. Now they wanted details. He unpacked the prototype. Connected it. Demonstrated. No music. No dramatic reveal. Just function. At first the room stayed neutral. Then something shifted. People stopped writing, started watching. One investor stood, moved closer, asked technical questions. Then another. One looked at the others. Another reopened his laptop. Nobody said anything dramatic. But the energy changed. After an hour someone finally asked, what exactly are you asking for? Adam blinked. He hadn't prepared that. Silence. Then he answered, I'm not sure. That created a pause. One person smiled. Good answer. Adam looked confused. The investor leaned back. People usually come in asking for money before understanding what they have. Another asked, if funding wasn't the goal, what was? Adam thought. Then answered, to keep building. Double quotes. Simple. No speech. The room stayed quiet. Then one investor asked a different question. Would you sell it? Adam hesitated. A number floated into his head. 500. He pushed it away. He answered, depends. The investor nodded. On what? Adam looked at the prototype, then said, if selling means I stop building it. No. Several people looked at each other. One finally smiled. Interesting. The meeting ended without offers. No dramatic handshakes. Just, we'll be in touch. Adam packed slowly. As he reached the door someone stopped him. One investor. Private conversation. The investor asked quietly, can I give one piece of advice? Adam nodded. The person said, people often confuse polish with value. Then added, don't let attention make decisions for you. Adam thanked them and left. Driving home felt strange, not victorious. Not disappointing, just unfinished. That evening he worked in the garage. Normal routine. Adjustments. Testing. Lily appeared. How'd it go? He shrugged. I think okay. She stared. That's your word for everything. He laughed, then told her. She listened, then smiled. No one laughed. He thought. No. She nodded. Double quotes. Good. Double quotes. 3 days passed. Nothing. Then emails started. Questions. Requests. Follow ups. Then more. Conversations multiplied. People wanted access. Pilot programs. Partnership calls. Adam suddenly had calendars. He hated calendars. Then something unexpected happened. A new meeting request appeared. Sender name familiar. Very familiar. The CEO. Not assistant. Direct. Short message. Saw recent developments. Would appreciate a conversation. Adam stared. He read it twice. Then closed the laptop. Lily walked in. What? He turned the screen. She read. Her eyes widened. No way. Adam nodded. She looked excited. He looked cautious. She noticed. What? He shrugged. I don't know what they want. She smiled. You could ask. 2 days later they met. Private office. Smaller than expected. No audience. The CEO greeted him normally. No ego. No performance. That surprised Adam. They sat. After a moment the CEO smiled. You probably expected something different. Adam answered honestly. I didn't know what to expect. The CEO nodded. Then said something unexpected. I watched your demonstration clip again. Adam stayed quiet. The CEO continued. I made assumptions. No excuses. No dramatic apology. Just calm honesty. He looked at Adam. At events like that, you see hundreds of things. Adam nodded. The CEO continued. You learn shortcuts. Then smiled slightly. Sometimes shortcuts miss things. Adam listened. The CEO leaned forward. You built something useful. Pause. I'd like to talk. The conversation stayed respectful. Questions. Ideas. Possibilities. Then eventually terms. Partnership structure. Resources. Scale. Support. On paper. Good. Very good. The CEO explained. We move quickly. Adam listened, but something felt familiar. The language. The structure. Control. Decision paths. Ownership. Meetings. Layers. The prototype becoming part of something larger. And suddenly he remembered all those nights in the garage, not because nobody helped, but because nobody decided. He asked one question: if we disagree later. Who decides? Small pause. The answer came professionally. In practice we would. Not unfair. Not hidden. Just clear. Adam nodded slowly. Conversation continued, but internally something settled. When the meeting ended, the CEO asked, What do you think? Adam looked at the agreement. Then looked up. And said calmly, I appreciate it. Pause. But I can't. The CEO looked surprised, not offended, just curious. Why? Adam thought for a second, then smiled. I spent too long building freedom. Silence. Then he added, I don't want to trade it for speed. The CEO looked at him, then slowly smiled, not disappointed. Respectful. He stood, shook Adam's hand, and said, Then build it well. Adam left. No dramatic music. No celebration. Just air feeling lighter. That evening he returned home. Lily opened the door immediately. Well, Adam looked at her. Then smiled. I said no. Her eyes widened. Then she started laughing. He laughed too. She looked shocked. You said no again. He nodded. She stared. Then smiled. For a moment neither spoke. Then she looked toward the garage and quietly asked, So? She smiled. What now? Adam looked at the covered machine. His phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject line. Updated valuation discussion. He opened it. Read once. Then again. His expression changed. Lily noticed immediately. What? Adam looked up slowly. And for the first time he didn't know what to say. Adam read the email 3 times before he trusted his own eyes. He handed the phone to Lily. She read silently. Then stopped. Read again. Looked at him. Looked back at the screen. Neither spoke. Finally she said, Is this real? Adam took the phone back. I don't know. The message wasn't dramatic. No giant promises. No exaggerated language. Just a short explanation. After reviewing field performance, follow-up discussions, and future expansion potential. Participating investors wanted to continue conversations based on an estimated valuation. Estimated valuation, $18 million. Adam stared at the number. Not because he thought it meant he suddenly had money. He understood enough to know valuation wasn't cash. Still, the number didn't fit inside his head. Lily sat down slowly, then laughed once. Not because it was funny, because her brain had nowhere else to go. Adam put the phone face down. He walked to the garage, opened the door, turned on the lights, the same concrete floor, same tools, same old stool, same machine. Nothing had changed. That helped. He walked over and touched the edge of the prototype, the scratched panel, the imperfect wiring, the parts replaced too many times. For a long moment he stood there quietly. Then Lily appeared behind him. She asked softly, "What are you thinking?" He looked at the machine. "That 2 weeks ago somebody offered 500. She smiled, and he thought. Then said, "I don't think either number means what people think." She looked confused. He turned. 500 didn't make it worthless. He looked at the phone. "And this doesn't automatically make it valuable." She smiled. "So, what does?" He looked around the garage, the work. Over the next few days, everything became louder. Calls, messages, requests, people wanted meetings, advice, partnership discussions. Some wanted ownership, some wanted licensing, some wanted quick decisions. Adam noticed something strange. The more attention appeared, the more careful he became. He bought a notebook. Every offer went inside. Every condition. Every question. Every reason. No rushing. One afternoon, one investor asked him, "What's your target exit?" Adam smiled. "I still don't know what that means." The investor laughed, but Adam wasn't joking. The following week, formal meetings began, not giant conference rooms. Smaller conversations, people asking practical questions. How would the system grow? Who would use it? What mattered most? Adam answered the same way every time: affordable access, reliable results. No unnecessary complexity. Eventually one group stood out, not because they offered the biggest number, because they asked different questions. Not, "How fast can this scale?" but, "How do we keep it useful?" Not, "How many employees?" but, "What do users actually need?" Adam noticed that mattered. The negotiations continued. And finally an agreement formed, not a sale, not giving everything away, a partnership. Resources. Support. Shared growth. But Adam kept ownership. When the paperwork finished, people expected celebration. He surprised everyone. His first stop wasn't a restaurant, not a dealership. Not a luxury store. He drove home. Parked. Walked into the garage. Sat on the stool. And stayed there. Lily found him an hour later. She stood in the doorway. "You okay?" He nodded. She walked in, then sat beside him. She looked around, then smiled. "You know what's funny?" He looked over. She pointed. "This place looks exactly the same." He smiled. "Yeah." She looked at him. "That bothers you?" He thought. Then shook his head. "No." She waited. He smiled. "It's nice." A few weeks later changes began. Small ones. Bills disappeared. Repairs got finished. The apartment felt less temporary. But Adam resisted turning everything upside down. He upgraded the garage. Better lighting, safer equipment, cleaner layout, but he kept the old stool. Lily asked why. He answered, "That stool has seen every bad idea." She laughed. One afternoon she walked in carrying a frame. Inside the handwritten card, $500. Adam looked confused. She smiled. "We're hanging it." He laughed. "No." She held it up. "Yes." He shook his head. "That's ridiculous." She smiled. "That's the point." She placed it carefully on the wall, not as revenge, not as a joke. As a reminder. A reminder that quick opinions aren't permanent. Months later, a small interview team visited. Nothing huge. Local feature. The interviewer eventually asked the question everyone asked: "Do you ever think about that first offer?" Adam smiled. "Sometimes." The interviewer leaned forward. "Do you feel good proving people wrong?" Adam thought for a second, then shook his head. "No." The interviewer looked surprised. Adam smiled. "I think people assume success is proving something." He glanced toward the prototype, for me. He thought it was finally understanding something. The interviewer asked, "What?" Adam smiled. "That not everybody can recognize value immediately." He paused, "And that's okay." The interviewer looked at the framed offer. "Why keep it?" Adam laughed because that moment helped. The interviewer looked confused. Adam smiled. "If everyone believed in it immediately." He looked around. "I might have sold early." The interview ended. Life continued. Not perfect, not magical. Just different. One evening, after everyone left, Adam locked the garage. Lily stood beside him. They looked inside one more time. The prototype sat in its new case. The old stool remained. The framed offer stayed on the wall. Lily smiled. "So?" Adam looked at her. She asked quietly, "What do people do after something like this?" He thought, then smiled. "I think." He locked the door. "They go back to work." She laughed. They started walking. Then she stopped. He looked back. She asked, "What are we building next?" Adam looked toward the road ahead. Smiled. And this time he answered immediately, "Something smaller." She looked confused. He laughed. "Until it isn't." If this story stayed with you and you enjoy stories about fathers, quiet persistence, and unexpected turning points, subscribe to channel Dad Life Hidden Stories and come back for the next journey. Next story. A single dad bought a damaged delivery van because nobody else wanted it. But hidden under the passenger seat was something that would reconnect three people who had stopped believing in second chances.